later, you know?
Yeah. All good. So here we are. And what day is it today? I have no idea. I know nothing right now.
It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's
Yeah.
do a recap. What we're talking about is that you will finding some framework out of what we've been talking about. We've been talking about life and death. We all live and die. And what was the other thing you said?
We're talking about we were talking about how I was so viscerally charged by fictitious arguments
Mm-hmm.
and how it's actually dream logic,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
how I'm in probably trance like states and have
Mm-hmm.
been for most of my life
Yep.
while waking. And
Right.
so I've been working with that further, going, and I've had some experiences which are kind of strange, but they're more about it's as if I'm. Well, and I think I said to you at the time, it's people make commentaries about a house, but I'm inside of the house, and I think and what I mean about that, I'm talking about just the mind and stuff like that, and it's not just me in general. I wouldn't say I'm exclusive, but it's I'm able now to somehow, you know, um, I'm able to look into the inner workings or the back side of how my brain is working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As if you were
Yes.
as if you were able to open up the hood and actually see that
Yeah.
there's an engine inside a car.
Yeah.
We drive a car and we don't know how it works, right? We know there's an engine inside, but then when you actually do look inside an engine, you're like, this is a pretty serious fucking piece of equipment. And
Yeah.
and the brain
You
is
could say
even
that
like,
again.
I mean, it really is,
And I did
you
send you
know.
the links. I sent you two links about people who had
Hmm.
large portions of their brains taken out. And I mean, the interesting thing to me is that what that proves is that even though the brain is a very fascinating machine, it's so incredibly complex. And at the same time, we have no idea if our consciousness even is depending fully on our brain, because I mean, the feelings we have, the sensations we have, emotions, we feel them in our body, and part of our brain tries to put names on them. I'm happy, I'm depressed, I'm insecure, but it's names made by our consciousness. The actual emotion is felt in the body, right? And they've shown that people with portions of their brain taken out can still have a fully functioning IQ and EQ. So it's like the brain rewires itself when like the liver does, that when part of it is taken out, some of our organs are actually able to adapt, like water, to flow around the obstacle rather than be stopped. So if you had operated your arm like you operated your brain, you would probably have more of an impairment in your normal function than you actually do now, because your arm can't rewire that way. And I find you thinking at a very profound level. We're having discussions that are really interesting that I don't have with a lot of people.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
I
that is
mean, I
nice.
mean, I mean, and I appreciate this too, because it's not like I can roll into a party and start you being that guy in the kitchen who's talking about weird shit. Who's that guy? I don't know.
Exactly.
He keeps on talking about how the observer is the observed.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't get it. But or my brother or some other people, why is Rod so esoteric, or and this and that. But I mean, I've always been that way, and it just seems like it's just getting even more out there, which is fine by me. I'm going with it, but it's just, I've been writing stuff down, and and it's just like the more fantastic the construct, the more simpler its understanding, and the more it seems plausible,
Yeah.
which is really.
And you were saying, I remember this because you were saying that even though you wouldn't wish this on anybody, you still find that this whole experience has changed your, in lack of better words, your soul. the way you think, the way you feel about life, the way you think about death, the way you think about other people. Would you have been thinking and talking like this if you hadn't been through all this?
Not to the degree. I was headed there, you know, which is why I think some of this has been, I wouldn't say an easy transition. I would say that people who like don't have any mindfulness training or have sort of deep secular constructs that can help them through things like that, I mean, or who have terrible families around them, or you know what I mean, or whatever the situation is. But I feel happy really, or glad that I have a set of tools that when I was going into this, you know, I didn't have nothing, you know. It was more like I knew how to make tools, but I was now in a cave trying to make stuff out of flint, and you know, I'm tying stuff together. But because I already know it, I'm able to sort of work with it a little bit more. I don't know. It's the experiential part, which is really quite fascinating, right? You know, you have this idea of what you think something is, right? And then again, like when you feel it, you're like, oh, that's actually that's fucking true. Like, or you know, there's some truth to it. Even though you know not to trust the truth, if that makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean,
what
is the truth?
I'm trying not to trust the experience. I'm trying not to trust the sensations, right? Or trust, because if you start to, I was having a conversation with a woman yesterday about Qigong. Not that I know anything about it, but I've been working with moving energy around, but not, you know, I feel energy moving, so therefore it's moving, right? Because that's setting up a different pitfall.
Yeah, what you should say is, I have a sensation of energy moving, whatever that is.
Yeah, you know, rather than it's this or that, or you know, or I've been successful, or this or that.
Did we talk about maybe logic?
Maybe logic? I don't know. Probably, maybe.
So Richard Anthony Dawkins, he had a DVD, as a philosopher and writer. He made a DVD where he talked about this. No, it's Robert. Is it Robert Anton Wilson? I confuse these two guys all the time. I'm sorry. Don't let that get in the way. This is about maybe logic, and my mind is really lousy with names, and I laugh about it because I've accepted it. So the idea is this. Some people, when they discuss things that you might or might not believe, they feel a need to choose side. So if you say to somebody, do you believe in astrology? Do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in a life after this? Do you believe there's a collective consciousness? Do you believe there's a soul? Do you believe we continue to live after death? Do you believe in reincarnation? All of those questions, do you believe in God? Do you believe in love? All of those questions are unprovable for now. Okay? So what he said was that you could have an agnostic view of everything, which would be a very scientific way of approaching it. So instead of saying yes or no, which is impossible, you actually think, how much do I believe this to be true right now? Opening up that you might change your mind in the future if there's more proof. Opening up, you might change any direction. So maybe logic could be expressed in percentage. Do you believe in life after this? Yeah, I would say 60% of me believes that, because there is a lot of stuff that talks for it. And do you believe in ghosts? Well, for me right now, I would say 70%, because I'm having some really weird experiences I can't explain. But I'm not at 100. I can't be at 100 unless I sit down with a ghost in my knee and I can prove it is, and that I'm not psychotic. So I think I find maybe logic very refreshing. It gives me a different sense of security, because usually when people believe things, it's because they have a need for security. They say, I believe in science because that gives me security. Well, what if science is wrong? Then your world will shatter. And what you say when you say, I had tools, I had been thinking, about dimensions of life and death before this happened. I had been thinking about some weird stuff that not everybody thinks about, and you had mindfulness and meditation. So you came prepared. It wasn't a surprise with the big issues. Now, if you add maybe logic to this, there's one more thing, and it's called E prime. Have you heard about that?
No, probably not.
So E prime goes hand in hand with maybe logic. E prime is when you, instead of saying something is or isn't, you say it seems to be, and you explain why. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So even though I don't know that much about Tai Chi, I seem to be moving energy because when I do these exercises, I have a sensation of a flow. And then you're just acutely observing everything and noting it. And you're not trying to guess, because you don't need to guess to be safe, because you're safe with doubt. And all of a sudden, that is a very Buddhist approach to life. And a very humble one.
Yeah, I mean, you move energy around, but are you really moving energy around? And if it was and if it was energy, why would it do that? You know what I mean? It's like these are the places that I'm sort of going to, which is, you know, like energy doesn't actually have to move around because it's already moving. Right? So it's kind of so like I'm not thinking about things like on a sort of like a very physical level. I'm trying to think about things more on quantum or even sub-quantum levels, because that's actually what's truly going on, but to a degree. I mean, but yeah, I mean, just I'll sit and I won't have these moments of like I'm feeling energy flowing all over myself. I don't have these feelings like that. I have these feelings that I'm just sort of dissipating. It's strange. Like I'm like I'm actually becoming, like, not like I'm evaporating.
Disintegrating or dissipating?
It's, well, you could say, you know, I mean, you could say it's a oneness. It's saying this, you know, it's just, yeah. There seems to be less of a separation between, you know,
you and the rest.
You know, me and the rest.
Exactly.
And that's these are interesting sort of places. And
what does that make you feel?
it makes me gives me a sense of calm.
Right.
Restful,
it makes you feel calm.
It makes me feel calm and immaterial on a personal level, but yet vast. It gives me possibility in a strange, because I don't know. When I was a young kid, I don't know, I had some strange experiences, and I just started thinking that, I don't know, you know, that I had magical powers, and that, well, everybody did. Just some people know they're wizards and sorceresses, and some people don't. It's kind of like I was in this strange sort of place, and, you know, which, you know, made some of the playtime at you know, recess, you know, I had some social difficulties, let's just say, in middle school, for sure, you know.
But isn't that because you were surrounded by people who didn't have the same experience?
I would say so. I would say.
See, I work a lot with kids that are that get a diagnosis of having part of the Asperger or autistic spectrum, and I find them no different from anybody else. They are different in how they think. They're different in how they relate to other people, but their channel, their way of doing it, is extremely interesting and can be extremely useful in some situations. Usually they are extremely clever, just like anybody who's clever or not clever. But I told them, if you were on an island where everybody was like you, how would you know that you're not normal? And they can't. So it's not them. It's who is around them. It has nothing to do with them. It's only what they compare to and why they do that. So what would the proof be that we are not magical creatures, that magic is possible? And what is the definition of magic?
Oh,
because
yeah?
we know that mind affects materia. And 2,000 years ago, there was a saying in Latin that mind creates materia. And this is even before the alchemists. Because if I have an idea that I'm going to build a pyramid, it starts in mind. Then all
It exists.
I need is space technology, a couple of billion slaves, and incredible riches and power. But at the end of the day, it started in the head.
Yeah.
So where does your mind go when it wanders?
When it wanders?
Yeah. When you let go of your active thinking, what pops into your head?
Maybe some of the constructs that I've already started, where, this, maybe it's a conversation I've been having with myself for a while, of this golden cream triangle in the center of the universe, you know what I mean? Or, it's, maybe it's a continuation of, this is interesting, kind of like our last conversation where, if I start thinking about something and then, there seems to be in the content some kind of injustice or something like that. You know what I mean? I go to a sort of a, I don't want to say a vigilante sort of place, but it seems like my mind will move into these more more dangerous places, and I bring them back.
What kind of dangers would that dangerous be?
Well, it's just like I just like, this is an example. I don't talk about it a lot because, well, it can be used against me in a court of law. But it's basically, it's just like a woman or children are being attacked, something like that. Let's just use that as an example, and I just step into some kind of protector situation, which is like, really what's the word, very final in my approach to the solution. And and I spoke with my psychiatrist about this. There was a man who had been beating this woman at one point, who knows, not beating her, but they were having domestic disputes.
Abusive.
Yeah, exactly. And I heard about this, and I was telling him, and I brought it up with him. I just really wanted to just find him and drag him behind my car.
Yeah.
And I felt really, really disturbed by that. And my psychiatrist said, well, that's good, because that's actually it's a normal response.
Yes. That's why we have fantasy. So we can do that in our fantasy and then find a better solution in real life.
Because if you didn't have that sort of reaction to something like that, I would be more concerned about you, Roderick.
Exactly.
That you were, and so I am, but exactly, the fantasies sometimes, which is why we had the previous conversations, I don't know what it is like for other people. I don't know what it's like for the other people on the island. I used to think maybe, well, if it's true for me, it's true for everyone. So I won't be, kind of concerned about it. But things just seem to be more and more amplified. Like when, since the diagnosis and what's happened to me, everything is just amplified like 1,000%. You know what I mean? the
Well,
fantastical and these nightmarish things, or sort of visceral, like I'll listen to a piece of music, or or I'll see you know um, I'll see a dog, and I'll just feel really really emotional about it, like, or I'll.
well, isn't it? I mean, in a way, I can sense that feeling when I have an accident where I felt pain, where I felt danger, or when I've been to a funeral, or something like that. When life and death suddenly is on the radar as something very real, then everything is just perceived in a much more real way. That's how I
Mhm.
feel about it. And I also just want to add that when you said vigilante, what happened in my head was Marvel and the Marvel heroes, and I read those comics when I was a kid, and I identified a lot with them because they are archetypes. I mean, the reason those comics are made by somebody is because those are in our heads, and they just put images on them and made them accessible to us.
Like,
And
I really like, yeah, I mean, Captain America, gotta say, like,
yeah,
he's great. I mean, he's
yeah,
just so
exactly.
no he's noble, and yet he's disappointed. It's this interesting, all he wants is people to be the best that they can, and look out for one another, and
Yes.
and
And
he,
he's
and he
prepared
doesn't.
to take a bullet for a stranger, and he's prepared to do his best, and he's prepared to love. Because you see, the difference, I think a lot about this because the archetypes that are there, they're very different. And I like the ones that keep a sense of humor because they keep a kind of hope for life. Because vigilantes have changed, up to 1986, Hollywood had this code of not making anti-heroes because they didn't want to disappoint kids and affect people psychologically in a bad way. Then it was kind of a code of honor, but then they skipped it and we started getting these anti-heroes that are a little bit more depressing, because they.
Like, Batman's kind of a screwed up person.
Yes, that's exactly the one I was thinking about. I don't want to be Batman. I love his cape. I love his gadgets. I like his suit. I think his car is cool, but he never laughs. He never laughs. Everything is just
Well,
gloomy.
and I gotta say, like, in that, in the, what's it, the Nolan series, like the Heath Ledger's
Hmm.
Joker.
Yeah,
Why so serious? I mean, it's
exactly.
so. I mean, but I mean, the Joker's well, that's
Actually,
a whole other scenario.
yeah, but the Joker at least seems to have some wicked sense of humor. And if you look at it, Deadpool is actually crafted out of the Joker in a way. I mean, it's
Hmm.
this death-defying black humor, muhaha, and make it put some spice in it. I mean,
Well, he's gone
that
so far. I mean, Deadpool's gone so far. I mean, like,
yeah,
he's been pushed to he's been tortured or pushed to such an extreme of things. Like, it's just, he's an absurdist.
yeah,
I mean, it's actually like Deadpool and like the Riddler
mm-hmm,
more
mm-hmm,
in common than
mm-hmm.
than I was wondering where we were gonna go with all that, because I was really interested in seeing like what the Christopher Nolan version of like the Riddler would have been,
Mm-hmm.
but they stopped. But and then of course DC kind of screwed up their own universe.
Yep.
It's too bad. I'm still, like, I always wanted to see, who's the other guy I really liked. Well, there's interesting to people that I read that I really thought were interesting were like Moon Knight, and which is like his powers have to do with this like Egyptian thing going on, right? And the other one was, well, actually, the person who I really relate to right now is like Doctor Fate, and
Mm-hmm.
just because of just and Constantine, and just that whole world, because it's just, I don't know, like, I have conversations with inanimate objects. But I write that, like I wrote in my book. I mean, but to believe that the conversations that we would have with inanimate objects in the universe, to believe, or like nature. Why would nature use English? Like, why would nature use actual language? to
Well,
have.
I mean, you could turn that around and say, why would we use English?
Well, this is what I'm getting at.
You know,
I'm just
we could have
talking about.
chosen a
Yeah, but
million other ways. I understand you. I hear you.
there's an
Yeah.
impression you get from it, and it's like I've been thinking about thought, because sometimes I would lose my words. I lose words
Yes.
sometimes. I'm like
Yes.
and I get concerned about it sometimes. Sometimes I get concerned about, I know the last CT scan was clean, but there's like, well, there's some brain softening and some, calcification and
Mm-hmm.
this and that, and I'm kind of like, how's that gonna work out in like about 25 years from now? You know what I mean? And then I thought about, what if I, just lose, the ability to, be relatable to things. And then I thought,
Yeah.
well, isn't that what everyone's going to the cave to do in the first place? Right?
Exactly.
And I thought, well, that's interesting. So I'm working with that in a way, but I'll lose my thoughts, or I'll lose a word. And rather than trying to chase this word around, which is useless,
Mm-hmm.
I'm realizing the word is only a like a sum. It's
an abstraction. It's a handle.
it's the whole brain is got this vapor of thought, which is then sort of condensing itself onto this one word. So
Mm-hmm.
rather than try to find the word, I more like place myself in the vapor, and then
Mm-hmm.
the word appears.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where it gets really strange, because like I know someone used the word, was somatic, I think was the word.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I wrote something to Kate Truitt, but her team wrote back with something. I need to follow up on it, but it was something about, I was trying to learn about the insula, right? And like
Mm-hmm.
what's technically happening on a neurotransmitter level. Not that I would even understand it, because I was thinking about, well, if I can get rid of the headache, right?
Do
If
you
I
have
can,
headache now?
no, this is when we first started working, and when
Mm-hmm.
I started working with Lynn, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a headache for a whole year.
Yeah, I
Then I
remember
had,
that.
yeah, and then then when in that period of complete and total anxiety breakdown, right? A nervous breakdown, the whole tumor was like mapped, like every single point of it was mapped in my head.
Mm.
It was burning a hole like a piece of coal,
Mm.
and then we started working, and then the migraines started going away, and then all I felt was just a pressure. It
Mm.
didn't have any pain. And then there was, what's his name, Rudin, when I think it was you had started working with me, and Lynn had started talking about what's it called, event. I think it was event havening with sort of matrix re-imprinting with the
Right.
EFTs, right?
Right.
To
Right.
basically to change the event, of the diagnosis, and replace it with me basically making like a chicken salad for my doctor. That was
Mm.
basically what, because I like to cook, so I know everything in detail. So it
Mm.
was interesting. So every single thing after that, every single event with a doctor, always makes me think of salads, which is it's funny. It's funny.
Yes, it is.
I look at every single doctor, I'm like, yeah, that person's kind of, he's like salmon and Shanghai bok choy, kind of guy. This woman's into like the pineapple salsa. But Rudin said, you've done such a great word. That's where I started getting introduced to allostatic load. That's
Yeah.
where I
Yeah.
was like, well, I didn't even know about that. I'm like,
No.
well, why doesn't everybody have it tattooed on the inside of their arm? I mean,
Exactly.
it's so critical, and I can see, like, I think Kate's working on some stuff. I don't even know her very well at all.
Kate is fantastic.
I mean, I said something to her team because she had mentioned the insula in one of her things, and I'm like, it's not a word which kind of gets thrown around a lot. So, and when I've been doing it, it's kind of like, well, it sort of does this, and they say this, and then when you read into it, they should just have a big bracket underneath the title, the insular region bracket. We really don't know what it does, but it's really important. right? That should be the title under every single scientific document. But
well, there's a
so
lot of things that should be a bracket for in a lot of scientific articles, because we know very little. You know, me and my colleague Frederick, we've been writing for 4 years about something that we called personality engineering. So we've broken down what we feel after talking to thousands of clients. Both of us, we use NLP, havening, tapping, clean language, reflective repatterning, matrix, whatever you name it. If we run into it, we try it. And we've found that some of the tools are always useful. So they're the 20% of the toolbox that give you a bang for the buck 80% of the time, right? But sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes you need to tinker with a hammer on one spot and do something on another spot. And we were trying to find out, what is it that makes that difference, right? So we came up with a kind of structure, which we call a compass, which is a behavior compass. But what it actually is, it allows you to map down the 3 things that make you a human. It's what you think, what you feel, and what you do. That's all you are. You are a thought, you are a feeling, and you are a behavior. That's what happens when you get a physical body. You have somewhere to feel, you have something to do with, and there's a part of it that allows you to think. Right? So to understand it, you need to understand the whole holistic compound of it. And looking for understanding by looking at how energy is working in the brain, saying when you think of chocolate, it lights up over here, and when you eat chocolate, it lights up over there. In a way, you could say, yeah, that's incredibly interesting. But why are we not scanning the feet at the same time? Because who knows if part of your emotions or your thoughts don't come from there. You know, you feel things in your heart. Is that just a reaction in your nervous system to what's happening in your brain? Is that where your full consciousness is? Or is your consciousness more or beyond that? I mean, if you look at theories of emotion, there is no one conclusion about what emotions are, what they do evolutionary, why we have them. There are plenty of theories. There are at least 6 theories about if emotion precedes thought or if thought precedes emotion. You know, what is the actual function of it? And I find it completely fascinating, because the way we look at it is not from the perspective of, can we prove it? Because we're going to have it anyhow. The perspective is, what can we do about it to nudge it in a direction where people actually do more sensible things to make a better world? Because you can't decide what you think, you can't decide what you feel, and you can't decide what you do. You can decide part of it. It's like breathing. You could say, you and me, let's think about thinking, and we're using one part of us to look at itself. Or we can just be quiet and see what pops into our minds. And you're suddenly going to laugh and go, I just thought of Batman, you know, out of nowhere, because who knows where that thought came from? And then I'll go, that's groovy. Now, where did that feeling come from? Why is that groovy? And it might cause us to continue the discussion, or we might share this with somebody to find out what they think about this, or we might hide it and never tell anybody that we did it. And those are actions. So the idea we have is that if we can more actively, more intentionally design and invite thoughts and emotions and behaviors that actually are beneficial not only for ourselves, but for each other. Because it's our actions that are sinking this world right now. It's the action of buying plastic bags and throwing them in the sea. You know, they will have a lifespan of 450 years in there. And if I just use my mind and emotion to stop me from that, and I'll just carry that shit in a paper bag instead, then 450 years from now, there will be 1 plastic bag less. And that's been, you know, it's just going on and on and on in my head. And this discussion feeds into that, fits it perfectly, because we're talking about what is it actually we're doing and why. And, you know, the human experience is nothing if we don't share it with another human. But who is to say that humans are the only ones we can share it with? You're talking to inanimate objects. And who's saying they're not answering? And like you said, who says that if they answered, it would be in English? Maybe they understand your English fine, and maybe they communicate back to you in a way that you have no idea about.
You have to be open. I mean, psychometry or whatever that is, being able to pick up an object and, you know, it's got a history. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's been around things. It's very,
Yes.
and also, you know, I'm, you know, when I go to those moments where I feel dissipating, it's like, I feel dissolving from this reality. But that doesn't
Yes.
mean I'm actually gone from,
No.
I'm appearing somewhere else.
Yes.
Like it gets, and I mean, you know, maybe that's delusional. I don't know. I mean, according to maybe some empirical sort of metrics, people would be saying, well, you know, that's not actually true. But you know, 4,000 years ago, they said a bunch of stuff, right? They wrote them down on tablets, and everyone was like, that's really, you know, that was just the way it was. All, you know, with their Aeolian wind harps and their chimes, and they had all this stuff going on. And then there's this period of like, you know, scientific method, which is really, really important, right? And then of course that was hijacked for secular power reasons and all this sort of stuff, right? You know, we can't talk about specific subjects because they're actually undermining a power situation. So I think science was really, or the thought or the pursuit of it, as we've seen in history, were actually not very, you know, it was hampered, you know. And then where, you know, finally science got to the point where basically, you know, we're in a multiverse, we're in like a quantum reality, you know, and you know, how do you really know what is actually occurring, you know? I mean, these are all questions which are actually getting more and more scientifically proven with the Bell theorem and different experiments which are saying, like, you know, which are bringing up questions which are like a lot more difficult for people really to even to understand, you know. I've got a book here, right? But the question is why is the book decided to be a book, right? And why is my fingers the fingers, right? And why
Is that a notebook or is it an AA book?
what's that?
Is that a notebook or is it a written book?
Oh, it's a note. It was one of my written books.
Oh,
One
it's
of my
okay, cool.
Yeah. Oh, what's this one? Oh yeah, my I think I sent you this one about the bowl and the meditation, right? About how I've been working on trying to do sort of three or more visualizations simultaneously because I think that's really interesting. You know,
That's cool. Oh, it
right?
becomes kind of multidimensional. I lost
Well,
your eyes. I only see your chin.
there you go. Of course, when I take off my glasses,
No.
everything becomes.
Your head was just over the camera.
Oh, there we go. So, you know, like, you know, imagine a point, like imagine a circle is right there.
Yes.
I'm on these triangle things, right? And then, you know, and then maybe to the left of it, then you imagine another circle, and then you imagine, you know, to the right of it, like another circle. So you have these 3 points of a triangle, right? And then you take the top one, and then you actually imagine it's moving down and connecting to the one to the right. And then you do the one from the right to the left. And then you do the one from the left to the top, right? And then you actually try to do all 3 of them at the same time. So they're moving in a, so they're actually creating a motion
Right, like
between
the
all 3.
Pac-Man.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like one's going this way, one's going this way, one's going this way, and then you want them to do,
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And so that's one of the things I've been working on because.
So what happens when you do it?
Well, you get into, I mean, I would say a better, like not a better, but a different kind of trance starts to occur.
Yeah,
That's
because what you're doing is you're inducing a trance state and you're inducing a flow state. So it's a trance with a flow quality because you're using a lot of your brain and you're using it to the degree that you can at the moment to be able to do it. So it's a flow state and it's a trance state, which means that it should theoretically put you in a slightly happy mood. Does it do that?
Yeah. I mean, these are like these tools that I do. Like I think of this sort of a triangle, or I think of myself.
Yeah.
I think of this triangle, and then I think of this equidistant triangle like surrounding me.
Yeah.
And then I think of doing that like that's all the time, and then I try to speed it up.
Mm-hmm.
So that I'm just walking around in this equal, and people say, "Hey, Rod, what are you doing?" I'm like, I'm
Strangulating.
I am creating a golden equidistant triangle around me at all
Yes.
times, and people
Yes.
go, "Wow," But I I live on Salt Springs, so it's a little bit easier.
You know what? I think you're gonna like this. This is kind of like the synergy of the universe. Okay, so I'm gonna show you what we have been doing for the last 4 years. We've been trying to illustrate in 3 dimensions how body and mind work together. Okay, and the only way we could do this is with a like-sided triangle.
Yeah, there you go. It's
right.
it.
And what you have is you have the body. Okay, that's one side of the triangle. Then you have the mind, which is another side, right? Everything you do is driven by a need for air, a need for sleep, a need for love, a need for connection. Maslow, 6 logical levels, 6 human needs, Glow Madness. And then you translate your needs into something that you want. So, for example, a client that comes in, yeah.
Can I just interrupt you? Can I just I have to go to the washroom very quickly.
Oh,
so
sure.
What would I do? Would I put this on pause and then probably that would be the word to do it, right?
Well, yeah, you just mute the video.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, sorry.
Or just leave it there.
That's right. That's the simple one.
I'll talk to you while you're gone, okay? Yeah, me and Frederick, when we talk, we have these discussions every morning, and what we do is we call this a quack, because in computer programming, when you get stuck, you can have a rubber duck, and you can talk to it as if it was a person, and actually, when you believe it is a person, although it is an inanimate object, it will allow you to get unstuck from the mindset you're in. So a quack session means I believe you're there on the other side, and even though I'm talking to you, it's an imaginary you. I'll just select, the ceiling that I see from your phone to be a metaphorical representation of you. And in many ways, it could actually become a discussion that continues in the exact same way as if you had been there. So Quack is a collective intelligence feature. Yeah, and when you get back, it's just so fun that you said triangulate and triangle and like-sided, because that's exactly what the conclusion we've come up with. And I'll show it to you again then after. Whoops, I'm going to need to move a little bit now because I'm running out of battery. So I'll walk over here where I can show you the full Monty. You know what? I had a great discussion with you while you were gone, and it's called Quack programming. Do you know about that?
What's that?
Quack programming.
Quack programming.
Yes.
No, maybe.
See, the thing, programmers, when they sit and work late hours, lots of bottles of Coke and pizza.
Oh, right. And it's not like programming that's actual real programming. It's just more like, this is what I think you should do. And is that right?
It's like when you don't have the person you want to speak to there, and you need to speak to somebody, you take an inanimate object, which in this case is a rubber duck, and since it's a duck, you just say that you're going to go quack for a while, which means you keep talking as if the person is there, but you use the inanimate object as a representation for them, and that's called quack programming. So if you can't resolve whatever the computer programming you're doing, you're going, I can't solve this, and you turn around to the duck, and just by doing that, the answer comes to you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Can I show you this triangle? I'm kind of excited.
Sure.
So you have body, right?
Right.
And you have mind, and you need and want. Now, the center of the pyramid is your state, because your state pulls in from all sides, your state of mind, right? And all of this happens, and I'm going to turn the camera around now, I think, if I can succeed with it. There we go. Boom. So this triangle, it stands in 4 circles, which we call the sect you are in. And the sect is your situation, okay? It's your environment, it's your company, and it's the time, right? So this is the behavior compass, and we'll be going through this in a webinar on the 24th. And if you can join, I think you should.
Sure. I'm going to try my best to, yeah.
Because this is fun. So, and this is what most psychology misses out on, because they go, I feel depressed. Yeah, but when are you depressed? And who's there? Does it matter if you have 4 people, 5 people, if it's your mother, if it's your cousin? In what environment does this happen? Is this at home, or is it at work, or is it in a park? What's the situation? Are you equally depressed brushing your teeth compared to when you are holding a speech at a wedding or sitting at a funeral? Because that's what mental health is all about. It's about how you feel, the total of everything, depending on the environment, the company, the time, and the situation.
That's brilliant. That's amazing.
We've had a lot of fun. We spent 4 years on this, and we're just ready now to roll it out.
That's awesome. So it's interesting you mentioned mothers, you know. My mother wanted to say hi.
She did?
Yeah. She goes like, I've been, this old person who's been helping my son, and she's been having a lot of problems recently, and I don't know if you can help, or if you know someone who can help, who knows havening and this and that. But she really she's been having a lot of anxiety. It's really, really problematic, and it's weighing on me, because I've had to I'm trying to move into my own house. I haven't been able to move into my own place. I paid February and March's rent, and I haven't really been there.
Right. Where are you staying now?
Well, right now I'm at my mom's place right now, my parents' place, and they're getting, they're old, and we're trying to, or experienced, however you want to say it. They're is that someone that's in an ambulance?
Yeah. Somebody is sick or burning, but it's not me right now.
Okay, yeah, but it's so I've been spending a lot of time here, which has not been very useful for me in some ways, because I haven't really been able to move into my own agency and stuff. Like, as soon as I came back, basically I spent a few days, a week here, 10 days here, right? This is after December. Spent a week at my brother's, and then I was able to sort of get my own place, not the most greatest place. It's very kind of cheap, and it's a little place. I just wanted a place where I could be quiet, because I was like, I've got this feeling I'm probably going to need to be quiet, and like a little small burrow of some sort, given what I'm going to be. And as soon as I came back, it's kind of like, the chef and the clipboard and the IT guy came back. You know what I mean? Like, this is awesome. You know what I mean? And so, and now, and my mom actually spent I think a week in hospital just recently, because
for anxiety.
For anxiety, they didn't know what. She had a lot of gripe. She was totally exhausted. This is a person who doesn't really like hospitals, doesn't like doctors. Likes to deal.
What age is she?
I should know this. My dad's 87. They have 11 years difference. That would make her
76.
76. That's right.
Right. Yeah, sure. Well, next time I can talk to her.
That's cool.
Is she there right now? Wants to say hi?
She can. I can go and try to collect her if that's if that's interesting, because
you could do the Muhammad and the Mountain and bring the phone to her.
Okay, I'll ask her. I don't know what she's doing. Oh, but you'll find. I know you're. What time is it there? It must be really, really late or something.
It's not that late. It's not late.
No.
It's like 6:30.
Okay, because it's like, I know you. Because. All right. So you're gonna meet my stoic Scottish mother who doesn't like doctors, doesn't like all that, does the herbal stuff. And when she got to the point where she actually went to the doctor herself and says, I don't want to be sent home. I want to go to the hospital. I want all the tests to find out what's going on. She was so exhausted, I mean, she was feeling cold and her hands were sweating, and she has a lot of this. And she fights this a lot in lots of different ways. We're trying to get the properties sold. We're trying to get power of attorney. We're trying to get all that organized. And also, but I've been once I experience havening, right? Like I'm a havening evangelist, or whatever. I don't know what modalities. I mean, you've got going on. I mean, all these magical people who know this, these little pieces of this puzzle, which has helped me so much. Yourself, and of course, Lynn, and the Rudins, and even Kate to a degree, with those 4 different sort of states of like trauma, and how that all relates to each other. And I'm really, I want to study allostasis because it seems like really, really important. It seems, and like I said before, like there's that, that critical point where if the allostasis gets to too big of a level, then cellular mutation occurs, right? And then I thought, well, if that occurs, the inverse must be true, which means we should be able to suppress allostasis into this sub level where we're actually able to quantumly regenerate and get into, well, some probably more difficult things to prove scientifically. You know what I mean? Places.
Yeah, but don't mix science. Don't mix. Science is a roadmap that you make after something, and it's something you use to create a roadmap where you want to go. But it's limited by itself.
So that's why science fiction writers are really, really, or creative people are really good on certain scientific teams and stuff like that, because they're like, they don't care about the math. They're like, this is what it should be. This is the answer. And we're like, well, that's not possible. I said, well, you move to that point. You try to get there. And then all of a sudden,
But the thing is that absolutely. I mean, but that's the thing, science is a method, and limiting beliefs are not science. They're human. And if you allow limiting beliefs to limit what you use science for, then science will only find what's in your small box. You need to go outside the box and use science to see what's there. And the idea of science is to find what is probable and make it probable that you can make it happen again. Now, let's say Big Bang only happens once ever in the whole universe, and there is actually just one, and there never will be one again. How are you going to study that? You could study effects of it. You could study what it should lead to or what it might mean, but you're never going to know for sure. It's never going to be beyond doubt. For all we know, we're a software that booted 5 seconds ago, and all of this is just something we believe. I mean, that's fully possible.
I have these conversations with the people who come to Vidor who like to tell me about like different types of religions. You know what I mean? Like, I would say this is, what if I was to tell you, focus, and then I say, focus deeply on my fingers, right?
Yes.
Are you looking at it? Are you looking at my fingers, right?
Yes.
Did you see that? Did you see the snap of my fingers? How do you know that I didn't create this entire experience right now? And we're like, exactly. What do you mean? I said, well, I told you to look at my fingers, right? So it's not like you were telling me, right? I am directing what reality is, right? And this is where I started going with this, okay, someone from, I think we're Mormons or whatever. They're, just trying to give me some pamphlet and move along, or I don't know. And then here I am saying, well, the only reason that that you're on solid mass is the sensations on your feet. What if they were lying?
Yeah, it's even easier than that. The only reason you're not psychotic when you have a dream is because when you wake up from it, you're in bed. If you would wake up naked downtown, you'd feel different about it. So we need these clues. I'm going to be needing to wrap up in a little while. I really want to say hi to your mom because I think your mom wants to say hi to me. So bring the sweet to her.
Okay, I will. I'll just because I think, and that's very nice. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. If I mentioned like the video, I think you were so motionless. I thought the whole thing had frozen. Exactly like that. Wasn't there like some meme like where everyone was trying?
Oh yeah. Now you actually are frozen because now you probably moved away from the Wi-Fi. So question is if you're going to come back, you might have to back out. We'll see in a few secs. That's kind of ironic though. You actually did freeze, and now you're back.
Ulf.
Yeah,
We have really terrible internet, so I've actually gone and collected my mom, and I'm actually just getting her to sit in the chair where I was.
And I know that because I recognize the lamps in the roof.
Oh no, just say hi. He's
Hi there.
No, you have to put these on.
Hold on.
How are you doing? Hello there.
Hello there.
How are you doing?
Not so well. That's a little bit of the issue I have. Presumably arrived at exhaustion, actually. Gut and abdominal sort of inconsistencies and how would you put it? Once it started to become painful, one didn't know what to eat to avoid it being further painful.
I know exactly what you mean.
And it comes out of, it was a very bad winter for us. I'm sure you get worse, but it was very bad for us. It was very long. It had windstorms and snowstorms. And I have, all my life probably, had a sort of seasonal affective disorder. That's the given name now, but I get very off in winter.
Well,
and this,
in Sweden, we call that being Scandinavian.
Yeah, well, in Scotland, I suppose we also had a go at it, but I'm 78.
I heard. So, isn't that fantastic?
So, I think it's fantastic. I think it's wonderful, and I do a lot of art. I don't know if you can see any of my art. Can I show it to you?
Of course you can.
Well, this is kind of work I do.
Oh, you've done that? That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I do all kinds of. So I'm anxious. In fact, I'm irritated that I'm not able, even through the winter, to just have painted my way quietly along.
And you're frustrated that you didn't paint this winter.
I couldn't do anything this winter, and I'm still done nothing. But you know about Roderick. And his conditions, and then there was a whole.
That's quite a challenge. Ahead. Can I ask you something? I have a few experiences. I've been working a lot with people who are anxious from the genocide in Rwanda with my colleague Gunilla Hamne, and kids who have been in armed forces in Congo. And what we found was that anxiety is kind of hardwired to your body, right?
Yeah.
So your body has a nervous reaction, so that let's imagine that you have like this bottle. This is your nervous system, and stress is like water in it. So when the bottle is full, it will flow over, right?
Yeah.
And when you're not stressed, the level goes down, and you have this resilience headroom.
Right.
So when your level of stress comes up here, close to the top, your stomach will be instructed to empty itself, because your nervous system doesn't allow your stomach to have food in it if you are running for your life. Because if you do, and a saber-toothed tiger punctures you, you will die you will be poisoned by the food in your belly, because your intestines can't handle it. So your belly actually, the reason that your stomach goes bad when you're stressed for a long time, it's because it doesn't know if it's supposed to empty itself or not. And This is something you can turn around really fast by teaching your brain to start to relax. And we were talking about this just a few seconds ago, because havening, that technique, is just one of the many techniques that allows you to use your body to rewire your brain.
Yes.
Do you want to try a very small thing and just let's see if it has any effect at all? Because I'm curious, because my mother she's 5 years older than you. And 10 years ago, she had breast cancer. And there was a lot of anxiety with that, of course, in me and in her and in everybody. And she came through it. She pulled through and she came out on the other side. And afterwards, she said that some of these small techniques that I showed her actually made a very big difference. Would you care to try one?
Sure. I hope
Okay.
I can remember it all together.
No,
yes, of course.
Don't worry about that. That's easy. Remembering is overrated. If we forget everything we worry about, we wouldn't be stressed anymore, right?
You're damn right. I understand this very well.
Yeah. So all you have to do is use your lack of memory to forget the right things. Forget everything you're stressed about and just remember the good stuff. Done.
Right. That's it. The good stuff.
Yes, the good stuff. And now try this. Put your hands straight out. So if you put the computer down.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't see you now.
Oh, yeah. That better?
No, I can't see you at all. There, now I can see you. Put your hands straight.
I'm trying to find where. It's only a little iPhone, you see.
Ah, okay. Okay. Can he hold it for you?
Rod, can you hold this, please? Ulf wants to do a small hand exercise, so he needs to.
Just hold it in front of her, so I see her.
Whoa, Rod, hold it.
There you go. That's perfect. Perfect. Now,
yeah,
that's great. Now, just hold your hands straight out with your palms up in the air, and bring them down a little bit. Bring them down a little bit. That's it. Palms out. There you go. There. Keep them there. And now I just want you to take a deep breath in, hold your breath, breathe out and close your eyes, and put on a smile that you have reserved for special times. There you go. That's the one. Now, just keep this now. And I know it's going to be heavy in your arms in a few seconds, but they can also be very light. It doesn't really have to be either or. So do it one more time. Breathe in, close your eyes, breathe out with a sigh. Yeah.
Oh, sigh.
Yeah, there you go. And one more time with me now. Breathe in. Put on your smile, your best one, and then you breathe out with a sigh.
It's a real pop sigh.
Yeah, a real pop sigh. One more. Breathe in. Party smile. There you go. Painting smile. Art smile. And pop. There you go. Now keep your hands in the air. Keep the smile on your face. And now think of the things that have been troubling you. And tell me what they feel like right now. Just bring them to mind. What is it that has been troubling you lately?
I can tell you.
Yeah, just anything. Just one
well,
thing. Doesn't
Rod and all his complexities.
Yeah.
Money, because we've got
good.
too big a house. It's got too big a house and
Yeah.
not enough actual finance.
Yes.
Only got an equity. It doesn't work in this modern
No.
age.
The age is wrong. Don't worry about the house. It's the age that's wrong. It's the modern age is wrong. But just keep your hands there now and just say after me. Equity. Complex. Simple. Affordable. Fun. Painting. Rod's complexity. Rod's simplicity. Simple equity. And equal rights. Now close your eyes and just think about all of these things. What do you feel in your body right now?
I feel it's got something to work with. But I'm being a kind of a worrywart. And then, of course, say, can I remember all this lovely stuff that you just said?
Of course you can. We've recorded it, so you can watch it anytime you want.
until I write back and say, Jesus, that was good.
Yeah, exactly. Now take your hands down and take it down and put it in your lap. Ooh, that's heavy, isn't it? And now just feel what you feel, right? So don't worry about remembering it, but just note what you're feeling right now. What do you feel inside when you close your eyes? What do you feel? Just right now.
Well, there seems to be a slight easing. I mean, there seems to be a diffuseness now around the belly instead of a grab.
Yeah. So
and
imagine a grab like this, right? Put your hands like this. Now, you know what a baby does when it stands up in a little bed, you know, where you have these things so it doesn't escape, how hard it can hold them because it wants to get out.
Yeah.
And imagine the baby letting go like this and just reaching out the way it reaches out if it wants to hug somebody. You know that feeling?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So how does your belly feel right now?
Well, it's still tight, but it perhaps my back too, but it is got something I think to work with, I believe.
And I mean, would you allow that to happen if it could?
Oh, yes. Because for 2 days, I've been doing some havening with Dr. Robin Youngson in New Zealand.
Wonderful.
And I thought, I just from his video, and I identify my hard wiring right to my 1 week old. Because my mother escaped Glasgow to go away from the bombing at the start of the war and arrived in it. Right. The bomb that landed in the village did a lot of damage, but the one that landed outside our door was primed with flour and was sabotaged in Czechoslovakia and did nothing. Right? But it did arrive.
That's wonderful.
I did arrive, and I'm sure my mother was absolutely shitless with worry. Yeah. So I have been doing the word shh to myself as she was picking me up and trying to comfort me.
Yeah.
And I have noticed that the word shh is a very good one. Yeah.
Yes.
But I have been at this now for the better part of January to now, right? And I have to say that's not me, and I don't enjoy where I am right now.
No. But it isn't you. But where do you want to be? Where do you want to be?
Well, I want to be me, just my older me that just gets on with things and enjoys things and helps other people. Yeah. And I'm not a fancy person. I'm quite bright. I have a husband who's 87. That's another issue.
Yeah.
I have to say that's there too.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of them actually stacked up, and I'm trying to. Well, I got too tired, and right now I've lost about since Roderick's thing 160. I'm now about 132. I've lost a lot of weight. The anxiety is that I should somehow manage to eat without pain. That's a tough one.
Can I tell you something? There's this thing, this is not science, and no doctor would agree to it. But in my experience, the brain reacts to words. So when you say things that you don't want to have, your nervous system will actually stress you. So when you say, I want to have less pain, you are actually running away from pain. So try to say what you want instead of what you don't want. So I would like to feel good eating, instead of saying, I would like to get rid of pain when I eat. Don't remind yourself of the bad stuff.
I would like to go and have a big sandwich somewhere.
Yes. So start every sentence from now on. For 1 day, you say, I would like to, and then you say whatever you would like to. I would like to feel more relaxed around my stomach, more relaxed in my back. I would like to paint some more. And you don't say, I would like to be happy, but you can say, I would like to be a little bit more happy every day. And also, I'm proposing that you, from now on, when you speak about Roderick, instead of saying his thing and complexity, you say Roderick's adventure. Because
Right.
adventures have challenges and can be very devastating, but they also have happy endings.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So from now on, the Roderick thing is Roderick's adventure is still ongoing, and we have no idea where it's going. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually, I'm very pleased with
Yes.
Roderick.
Yes,
I
he's a
am.
fantastic man. You should
Yeah.
be, and you should be proud of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I can take that. Well,
And,
I'm very.
and here I have something for you to think about. When you say that you want to go back to your older self, do you realize that's impossible?
Well, yes.
You can only move forward to your older self because your older self is in the future.
Yes. Well, I understand. What I really meant was,
I know what you meant.
Before Christmas, I was doing something. Now I've written 4 books.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in my last edit.
Wonderful. What is it about?
It's what I call speculative future mythic fiction, starting in 2034 and going through to 21, roughly 100 years. And in 2065, due to an enormous seismic event along the Ring of Fire, the Western Ring of Fire,
Mm-hmm.
which is Antarctica to the Aleutians,
Mm-hmm.
Earth goes into a cryogenic, not an ice age, into a cryogenic state, and everybody has gone, except I had 2 or 3 groups of people who evolved through this condition to their own new condition.
Yes.
And got an instant evolutionary whack, if you like. So I only work with 80 people. And I have given everybody else's souls back to whom I call the greatest spirit. They'll be used again.
And doesn't that mean that those 80 people, they had a time that was very challenging, where they didn't find calm and they didn't find themselves at their best? But when they came through on the other side of that, they used that experience to become stronger and better.
Yeah.
Isn't that true?
Yeah. Yes.
Exactly.
They became enormously interesting, and including one girl by herself, who unfortunately found herself pregnant with twins all by herself, living in a cave, actually in a tunnel with all the animals and creepy crawlies and everybody who had escaped.
Wow. That's quite a feat, isn't it, to become pregnant without anybody?
Yes. Yes, it's not one that I would willingly sort of entertain.
It sounds lovely. Tell me when it's out, and I'm definitely going to buy it and read it.
Well, there's about 4 of them. It's still a lot. The edits are big, but you know, I am very sweaty right now. I find I have very little. Continuous energy. Yeah, I begin to shake.
But you know, when the bucket is full, it's because you're starting to produce adrenaline and cortisol, and the shaking is the adrenaline, and the sweating is because your body is in a flight state. So the sweat is that your hands are getting prepared to climb. That's why they get sweaty, and it's also to cool you down. So what you can do when you have that shakiness, a thing you can do to get rid of the shakiness is you put your hands above your head like this. Do that. You breathe in, and then you pull down and breathe out. Yes, and you do that 3 times. Do it now. And one more. And then the shakiness will diminish because you're using the adrenaline that was there to make you run, and instead of running, you're using excess energy. So it kind of rebalances your nervous system a little bit.
Wow.
Right? How do you feel now?
Well, you know, I'm still a bit that way, but yeah, it's a methodology. This I appreciate. I need to know how to do this. You know, how to shift my body.
Yes, and when you get shaky, if you try to calm yourself down, it won't happen because the
No.
shakiness doesn't disappear by calming down. It disappears with force. So when you recognize the shakiness, it's there you go, and you're doing it good.
Is it a bit of a hara kind of thing?
Yeah. Yes. There you go.
How many times do you can do it all the time?
You can do it as many as you want, but usually you do it 3 times because your body will recognize something as intentional when it's done 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can then, about eating, what shall I do? I wander into the kitchen, and normally I would feed myself and never think about it. Now I'm going around saying, what should I eat to Roderick? And what should I do? And it's a load of rubbish.
That's also because you're stressed, because this is the reptile brain that protects you when you're in fight and flight. This is online at all times. This is your prefrontal cortex that allows you to think and make decisions, you know? When your stress is up here, then this goes offline. So any decision will be a life and death thing. So it's like, should I eat this or that? Would it be good if I did this? Why should I do that? Because you're in a state of kind of a flight state. And in that case, everything is vital. When you're not in a flight state, you just feel what you want and you eat it. So I think you should test. I think what you should do maybe is be kind to yourself. Don't worry that much about it. If you just calm down enough for your brain to come back online completely and your bucket to be a little bit more empty, your body will start telling you what you want again. So I would drink a big glass of water, this big glass of water, when you go into the kitchen, and just wait for that to soak you inside, and then you decide what you want to eat. Because that will take your stomach acid and it will dilute it, and you won't get a reflux and you won't get the cramp because you're diluting the stomach acid.
I've been doing the opposite way. I've been taking a little. And I really do suffer through here, right?
Try. It's definitely not dangerous to drink water. So try having when you start feeling hungry, take a glass of water, drink it slowly, nicely, but drink it, and then wait 10 minutes, and then you eat something. Then you're being kind to your stomach.
Yeah, anything, in other words.
Yeah.
Well, within reason.
Well, if you focus more on fruit and celery, stuff like that, it's going to be kinder to your body than anything else, because you're getting good vitamins, fresh vitamins, and fiber. Not juices, not smoothies. Fresh fruit and celery, for example, those are great things. And nuts, of course, if you can have
sit with them and bring them into small bits and eat them.
Yes.
I know celery is good.
Celery is fantastic.
And so raw fruit and celery to begin with.
Yeah. And the thing is this, the body likes fasting because it allows the bacteria in your belly, your microbiome, it allows it to reset and take a rest. So if you give yourself just 1 day of water and fruits and celery for the whole day, no flour, no sugar, no bread, no carbohydrates, no potatoes, just sugar, just fruit and celery and water for 1 day, you will survive that.
Yeah. What kind of fruits do you like? I mean, apples,
yes,
pears.
Definitely, absolutely. Apples are fantastic because they have everything you need, including fiber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And banana?
Banana is good, but banana can constipate you a little bit depending on,
Well, I am definitely that.
Yeah. So maybe skip the banana. And
I pee all night.
Mm-hmm.
I have to keep getting up to pee.
Yeah. That's also what, that could be other things, right? But when you are stressed, your body needs to empty itself if you're going to run. So if you're in a state of high anxiety, you're going to go up and pee all night because your body's going, I'm getting ready. Don't worry. We can run at any moment.
Same goes with the bowel, presumably.
Yeah, exactly.
I went into hospital, because I didn't know what to do with myself. They didn't run all their tests, and I'm just normal.
Yeah, and you are normal. It's your nervous system that's preparing you to run.
Well, you know, this will take a bit of. No, that's wrong. I should say it'll be good to work through what you have said.
You got it.
And get out of this shithole, right?
Exactly. And what's the opposite of a shithole?
Oh, it could be a beach. It could be my painting studio. It could be just walking in the woods. It could be anywhere.
So anything you say you want, you should say I like before. So
I
it's
like
not that,
to do this.
Yes, exactly.
I like to
Perfect.
talk to you.
Yeah, it was fun. It was great.
Yeah.
Good to know you, and great to meet Rod's mom.
Yeah. Rod's dad is a very interesting individual too.
He doesn't
bother about his body. He just has a profound head that the body just carries around, if you know what I mean.
It's kind of magic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. I have become anxious again because it's a lot to take in, right?
Yeah. So don't worry about that. There you go. Just do that. You have. I'll send you the recording. I'll send the recording to Rod.
All right, to Rod.
Yeah. You can just watch it later. But you have. Don't worry. Stay in the moment. You know. Have you ever had a dog?
Cats.
A cat. Okay. But have you seen a dog?
Oh yeah, I've seen many dogs.
Yeah. Now, when you see a dog, you know, the dog is kind of. It goes like food, water. Smell, taste, pet, run, play, sleep, and that's called mindfulness.
Yes, it is indeed.
Yes, the dog isn't worrying about Rod's adventure or anything else. So try, bring out your inner dog a little bit, your inner puppy.
Yes, and just float off.
Yeah,
or
just a few minutes.
Get lost.
Yeah. Yes. Perfect. A few minutes every day. It was great talking to you. I'm going to have to go because my kids, it's late here and I'm going to have my kids make them some dinner.
Right. Well, I thank you very much for this time.
And thank you.
Thank
you.
Enjoy.
Stay great. I'll talk to you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Great. Take care.
Thank you. Rod is not here, so we'll try and find him. Mm-hmm. Hi, Rod. He's going to send me a long video. Sorting this out.
Is what happened? Did he leave? Or
Is
he still there?
No, he went away. Well, I believe he left. He cut out.
I think. Did he have to go? Did he say goodbye?
Yeah, he said goodbye. He had to move his kids along.
Okay.
So he gave me a lot of advice, and so